Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dave's 45 Auto channel right here on the YouTube. We're going to look at a firearm today. We're going to look at the good old CZ82. Yeah, look at that. So previously we had looked at the CZ83, which was basically the civilian variant of this pistol. This was adopted right around like 1982, 1983. Had about a 10-year run. Finished that run in, I believe it was, 93 if we're doing simple math. But so sometime in 93, they basically this left active service, complete active service in the Czechoslovakian military. So whether you know it as the VZ82 or the CZ82, as most of the countries who import it do, it's a very nice little pistol. Now this pistol did replace the CZ52, which was chambered in the old Tokarev round, whereas this one was chambered in the Makarov round. See that Makarov round right there? It's in a magazine, ready to rock and roll. Now the 9x18 Makarov is essentially sort of in between a .380 and a 9mm, but it's still nice, nice little round, little poppy little gun here, but not a ton of recoil, but just a little bit, So these mags here, 12-round mags, and these mags can be used for the Makarov round or the .380. There was also a variant of the CZ83 that was chambered in 32 ACP, and I believe, if I remember correctly, those magazines were 15 rounds. 15 rounds! But 12 rounds of anything in 1982, I mean, for a nice little compact pistol like this was neat. The competitor, I mean, the Makarov held 7, if I remember correctly. The Polish P64, if that held 6, I'd be surprised. The Hungarian, what is that? The FEG or whatever that one was called. That was kind of following suit with the Makarov. The Bulgarians and the Germans each had their own essentially Makarov clone, but the Czechs. They went ahead and designed an entirely new pistol, which was the same for the CZ52. Instead of adopting the Tokarev, they went ahead and designed their own pistol. And honestly, they've had a pretty good track record. And I have to say, of all the Makarov chambered pistols, this is probably my favorite. Now, I love the Makarov, the Russian Makarov, for a lot of reasons. Most notably because, I mean, I've owned a couple, and they're cool. They look cool, they feel cool. They're not necessarily always the best or funnest to shoot, depending on the trigger you get. But the 82s were just such a neat, they're just such a neat design. Big old grip. Now, the double stack magazine obviously facilitates this, but the grip is comfy. It's actually a pretty comfortable grip. It feels decent in the hand, it's contoured just right, even for somebody with a slightly smaller hand. Did employ an ambidextrous safety here, so sort of similar to your 1911 style. It'll stop the trigger and it'll stop the slide. Now again, that's on both sides here. It also employed an ambidextrous mag release, which is over here and right there. Can you believe it? Now the mag release is you do have to cover quite a bit of ground, so your thumb, in a natural hold, is naturally going to be right up here. So it's got some real estate. You almost have to reposition your hand in order to press that. And I have noticed on a few of these, my first couple wasn't really an issue, but this one doesn't like to depress the mags as much. So sometimes you kind of have to work it a little bit. And I found that, and I haven't toyed with it. I really need to toy with it. I found that sometimes on the left-hand side here, it's a little easier to get the mags out as opposed to the right. So I'm sure that's something I could tinker with and probably make right. But regardless, it's not as smooth as a modern pistol. But again, the placement is not great. Now, the trigger is actually fairly pleasant. So let's just do it from single action here. It's a nice, even pull, straight to the back, no wall. I know people like the wall, but this doesn't really have that wall to it. It's fairly consistent pull. And then the reset, there we go. Pull one more time on the reset just for giggles. And there we go. So pretty nice, all things told. Now you can also you know, put this in a double action mode, so kind of saw me do it there. So let's say I rack around in the chamber and I say, well, I could carry it cocked, locked, and loaded, or I could carry this double action. Now you can, there's no decocker as you see, that's just your mag release up here, and that is not ambi. But you could safely point in a safe direction. Again, we're clear just so we're not going nuts. I'm going to try and show you from this angle. So see the firing pin in there? Here's the hammer. Let's go ahead and I've depressed the trigger, I've let go of the trigger, and as you can see, there's space. So the hammer, you know, does not contact the firing pin. So you can safely let it down, but it is, you know, basically, the way I do it is I will hold the hammer with my thumb, depress the trigger, and as it starts to go, you saw me slip there. So again, this isn't something I recommend, I'm just telling you can do it. But again, the important part here is depress, let go of the trigger, and then we can bring the hammer down. Because again, the whole point is that when you fully, this is not, I don't have high speed here or anything, but again, if you depress that trigger, pop, it contacts that hammer there. But it doesn't set on the hammer. So again, thumb on, depress trigger, let it go forward a little bit, let go of the trigger, and then just ease it on down. So you could carry this round in the chamber, double action. Now the double action pull is not bad either. It's just a fairly consistent kind of pull. Not bad at all. Sort of like a decent revolver trigger, kind of like maybe a little newer J-frame or something. It's not super tough, but it's not, you know, very, very light. Sight-wise, not much to write home about. We have sort of a dot, 2 dots there at the back, and then a blade in the front. With nothing much to see there. You know, for most people, I think it might be advantageous to add a little bit of maybe white paint in that groove, so maybe you could see it, or like a neon or something. But the sight picture is not great on this pistol. But you know, 1982, folks, that sort of stuff happens. So let's talk about breakdown a little bit. So this breaks down very similarly to, you know, your Makarov or its inspiration, the PPK, and so on and so forth. However, it does it in a better way. So in like the Makarov and the PPK, you pull down on your trigger guard and then you set it on top of the frame. For this, you just pull it down. You don't have to set it anywhere. You just pull it until it clicks, and that's it. And then you can go ahead and pull the slide back, bring it forward, and there you go. So there's the inside of the pistol. As you'll notice, fixed barrel. This is blowback design, recoil spring just around the barrel. And there is the inside of the slide. Nothing super crazy there, you know, nothing that we haven't necessarily seen. Now, another interesting thing about the barrels on these, so they are chrome lined, which obviously aids in longevity of the barrel, and they have the polygonal rifling, which obviously, you know, our Glocks nowadays are pretty famous for. You know, I'm not going to debate traditional rifling versus, you know, the polygonal rifling. I think they both shoot fine, but that was kind of neat, kind of a neat feature for an old warhorse, you know, to kind of have. So just to put it back together, sorry, my hand's sort of in the way. So we just fit the slide back over the barrel, bring it to the rear, reattach, and then suppress our trigger guard until it clicks, and there you go. Pistol's back together. It's a nice gun. You know, aside from, you know, aesthetically, a lot of times the grips are pretty well beat up. These actually are in pretty good condition. And you know, the finish is not, you know, like nice Colt bluing. This is basically just like, I don't even know what you'd call it, just paint. But it works. It works. And, you know, it's served for, you know, 10 years. Good, solid little pistol. You can still pick these up. Classic Firearms has them. I believe they retail anywhere from about, you know, $279 to $300. You know, watch out for the deals. Previously, you could get these things for about 250 bucks, but of course that was 5 to 8 years ago. And I failed to buy one when J&G Sales out in, I think they're in Arizona, was surplusing them pretty heavy. And I missed out, and I wound up getting a couple on just the used market, but they are really nice pistols. If you're interested in one, I recommend Classic because I bought a lot of stuff there and I've had zero issues with them, so I think they're a good company. But the big thing is the mags. Even if you don't think you're going to buy one of these today, if you have an extra 30, 40 bucks, you know, whatever, go and buy some of these mags just to have them somewhere, because they do sometimes get hard to find. Just with any surplus gun. I know a lot of people are probably crying about the Star Model BMs that are out there and not being able to find extra mags for less than $40, $50 a pop. So anyway, I usually advocate you know, getting mags. But anyway, real nice little pistol here. I'm happy to have another one in the house. You know, and hopefully we'll get some shooting in on it, maybe get some shooting videos out with it if I still have it, or if somebody doesn't pry it out of my hands, because I am a trader. But anyway, thank you guys very much for stopping by. I appreciate all the love and support. If you are new, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and you know, I put out new videos every week. You know, leave your comments if you had any, you know, any questions, comments, concerns, or just, you know, saying hello. I'd like to hear from you. Like button's there if you want to hit that. And make sure you're checking the links in the description. I periodically post stuff in there as well. So once again, CZ82, appreciate you guys stopping by. We will catch you on the next video. See ya.